Alrighty, I think we are good to go here. How we doing? How's it going? Boy, it's a beautiful day here in Kuopio, Finland, let me tell you. It's like 72 degrees. That's about 20 degrees Celsius. Maybe a little bit more. I was sweating walking. You know, it's a good thing when the wind turns into a breeze. You know what I'm saying? When the wind starts to feel good, that's when you know summer's creeping around the corner. I don't want to say it too loud because, in Finland it might snow next week. So I'll enjoy it while I can. And by enjoy it while I can, I mean I'll sit inside here and record this podcast. Although it's 8:30 right now. Although sun is still shining. Dude, it trips me out. I know I'm probably going to say that to start every episode, but shit, it really trips me out. And while I have your attention here in that first minute, could you do me a favor? I want to try to, you know me, I'm experimenting with all this stuff. I hate to be that guy that's saying like and subscribe and da 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 da. But if you're watching right now, can you just hit the little thumbs up thing on the video and see? Normally I get like 5 or 6 of those, and if I could get like 20 or 30 or 40 or something, maybe it would put me better on the main page. I don't know. Let's just see if it happens. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to everybody. I've been getting a lot of feedback lately, and it's been cool. I have to admit, I try to not care one way or the other, good or bad, because I would have to think there's a lot of people that also think I'm pretty stupid for doing this. And so if I don't care what the people who think I'm stupid think, then I shouldn't also care about the people that think I'm smart either. You know what I'm saying? Because if I start believing one or the other, then I'm going to start believing the other one. So... But anyway, no, I do appreciate everybody who's gave us some well wishes and stuff like that. And there's been some funny little things to happen in the last week. And one of them, as I was mentioning last week, got the first little brand deal, you know what I'm saying? You see, got some sunglasses. I haven't worn sunglasses in so long because I'm like in my hippie ways. I know the UV rays are good for your eyes, and like you want to get some of that full spectrum, but at the same time, your boy's looking good. So our little sponsorship kind of partner deal, God, I feel like such a loser saying like influencer brand deal or whatever, is with Messy Weekend, which is a sunglass company, Danish sunglass company. And, you know, it's just in time for summer, baby. And I got to say, I think this brand is, like, pretty with the shit. I was impressed. They, like, swear in some of their ads online or, like, their stories that they post on Instagram. So I was like, okay. I don't know if they know what I talk about, but at least they're saying the F word. And what else I got written down here for this? Some of this sounds so lame, but just simple, stylish. This is called the Lennon, you know. Got that little John Lennon vibe. I got these other ones. What are they called? The New Depths or something. And they're simple. A lot of them they say they're sit-onable, so you can sit on them. And yeah, I like the Danish brands. I got to admit, I have another raincoat that's a Danish brand. Those Danes, I guess I'm a quarter Danish myself, so I feel like I'm representing the home. I'm living in Finland. I'm a quarter Finnish. Got the Irish passport, and now I'm repping the little Danish sunglass company. And they also they're about the environment and shit, you know. They say, let's see, for every pair of sunglasses sold, they donate to clean up the equivalent of 100 plastic straws from our oceans, which I don't know if that's a lot of straws or not. Sounds like it sounds fucking good, so I'm with it. And yeah, you can use the code Joey15 at checkout, and that'll hook your boy up. It'll also hook you up a little bit. Let me help you, you let you help me. You feel me? So that's our first little intro, or not intro, I don't know what to call it. But yeah, I guess I can go into the intro now. That makes sense. Yeah, sure. Yo, 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 welcome to Living for a Living, episode number 70. It's your boy, Joey Bradley.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
And yeah, like I said, I feel kind of lame, I will admit, saying the little brand deal kind of thing, but it's also a company that I kind of like and I kind of fuck with, and it came just in time. I literally have no sunglasses here, so it all worked out pretty nice. The power of the universe. I literally reached out to them. So in the nice manner of closed mouths don't get fed, you got to go for what you want. And your boy did it. So I've been rocking these ones all today. I just got them this morning, actually. And I think I look pretty dope. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I realized here in Finland that people really love wearing sunglasses now that the sun is out. And I realized this actually in the winter when I was here in like January. And it was a day that there was just a teeny bit of sunshine. And for a teeny bit of sunshine, I mean 2 hours. And there were like every old lady I passed was wearing their sunglasses. And I was thinking, lady, like you don't need to put them on. By the time you pull them out, you're going to have to put them back away because the sun ain't out for very long. But then I thought about it, and in summer out here, sunglasses are pretty damn important because there's certain times of the year where you can literally wear sunglasses all day. And so while you got to put them away and hopefully you don't lose them during the winter, you pull those babies out in the summer and you can rock them at midnight. I wear my sunglasses at night. That must have been a Finnish song. So, yeah, and today I seen more sunglasses than I have masks. So that's a good sign. That's a great sign. But yeah, I like these. That was my little I'll clip that up for TikTok. See what happens for that. I'm telling you, boy, TikTok's the future. I got some sunglasses and a discount code from TikTok of all places. So, yeah, but let's get into some other stuff. This shit, how are you doing? You doing all right? I'm doing pretty damn good, I will admit. We had a football camp this last weekend, and it went pretty darn good. Squad's coming together. About 5 weeks out from the season. Excited for that, man. Super excited to finally play. I'd realized I've been practicing here longer than I was actually even living in Czech Republic. And I played 7 games in Czech Republic. So I've already practiced more here. It's like 6 months than I did in Czech Republic. So that's wild, but it is what it is, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, this week, man, I've got that shit. That van life is getting closer by the minute. Let me tell you, not to get into too much detail, I had a little cryptocurrency explosion. I don't know what to call it. I talked about how, this was back in like December or January when I was talking about the mindset of abundance. And I had that going for a good like 3 weeks. Then I probably got back into some negative ways or something. And I was trying to get back into that little flow of abundance and stuff the last couple weeks. And then one of the dudes on my team, Swiss guy, is super into crypto, and so we talk about it. And I was super into it like 2018. I didn't know shit about it. That was like the first huge boom that took off. And me and my boy Dixon, he like really was the one who got me into it because he'd known about it for way longer than me. And he was like, dude, you got to get this one. This one's going to blow up. All the people at my work, he works at a tech company, was saying, yeah, this is the one. So I got some of that. And at one point that was like, I was in for like $200 and it was up to like 10 grand or something, like within a month. And obviously I didn't sell at the time because I thought I was on my way to being a multimillionaire from $200. And shortly after, and I'm telling my dad, you got to get in on this. My dad's telling me I'm a fucking idiot. That shit's not going to work. And I'm thinking, no, you're the fucking idiot. And yeah, like a month later it crashed, and I was probably in total now at this point like $1,000 or so, and that grand was now worth like $100. And so I was embarrassed. I didn't tell my dad about that, and I just kind of tried to forget about that money lost. I didn't sell it because it was like, well, why sell it? That's just ultimately admitting defeat. And so I literally forgot about it, more or less, from 2018. And yeah, there were like 2 or 3 coins that I got in. And Dixon was kind of like my advisor. Hey, shout out to Greg, by the way. Michael told me you've been listening to the show. That's Dixon's dad. So appreciate that, my dude. Hope everything's going well with you. I'm going to tell a funny story about you one day, but it's going to be in the future, and I'm not going to use your name or anything, so it's got to be way in the future now. But yeah, and so I was actually pissed because like I was talking to Dixon maybe a year or 2 ago, and he told me, yeah, dude, I sold all those other ones that we had, basically like made my money back. And I was like, you motherfucker, like, why didn't you tell me? Like, then I could have sold mine and I wouldn't be out this money and blah, 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 blah. Like, legitimately, like, kind of mad. And lo and behold, talking to my Swiss homie out here, and somehow talking about like lower coins that nobody really knows about, and those are the ways that you can invest and actually like really hit it big compared to Ethereum and Bitcoin and stuff right now. I don't really know what I'm talking about, to be honest. I just know a couple of the vocab words so I can hang in conversation. And so I was looking through some of the coins on Coinbase, basically some of the stocks for people who don't know what I'm talking about. And I saw one Telcoin, and it was like plus 25, plus 30%. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure I had that one. That was like one of the ones Dixon and I really liked. And so I went and checked my wallet, my online wallet, which I had to like find. It took me 30 minutes on my computer to find the codes to even get into it. Luckily, I found it. And I checked how much that was all worth, how much coins I had. And I'm not going to say an exact number, but let's just say it's way more money than any amount that I've ever had in my bank account in my life. And so that's also not very much money either. But it was a fun discovery, I should say. And so I hit up Dixon and I said, bro, you remember Telcoin? And he was like, yeah. And I could see like he took time to check it out. And he's like, dude, it's doing so good. He's like, tell me you still have it. And I was like, I still have it. And he's like, damn, that's fucking awesome. So yeah, I say all that because that now, I mean, I think I'm going to end up just putting all the money that I can save each month from my salary, which is like a decent little chunk, and just put that into like Ethereum each month. And then, because the way I see it, the way the people who know way more than I seem to think that Ethereum over the summer is a really safe bet, and then take out whatever I put in at that time, and then just keep all the profit in to just kind of play with or see where that goes. And so, yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been a fun little realization. And it was weird because when I met the fan from last week, my guy Matti, and we were talking about me coming out with some merch and doing some other things for a little bit of money here and there. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's just van money. Just van money for yourself. And I was like, oh my God. He's right. But then I started to kind of make excuses. I was like, well, there's still a lot I got to do, and I'm not sure exactly. And I realized, dude, this motherfucker believes in you getting the van right now in this conversation more than you do. Like, you're getting that thing. Like, that's happening. And I really do think it is. I think right now, this is kind of the tipping point. I have a feeling, whatever, I hope it happens, and then I can clip this little portion up in like 2 years or something when this thing's a little bigger or not, or I'll just be stupid, and that's cool too. And I have a feeling when I get the van and I can combine podcast with vlog, from what I know, which isn't much, I just on YouTube and stuff, I haven't seen anybody doing something that they're combining or doing both. I guess I'm not going to have a podcast vlog, but I'll have a podcast and a vlog that will kind of mingle together in certain ways and kind of cross over maybe two fan bases and get the TikTok stuff in there and go visit people that support it and like it, and just people I've met throughout life, and a way to go travel to guests, and yeah, and then also do a day with them and vlog it. You know, I don't know. I don't have like the full idea scripted out. I just think when it comes, the idea is going to be fucking good. So it's been exciting that we're on that way. And then on the flip side, as I've said, there's been the little bit of drama, a little bit more drama, but in such a dramatic way, I guess, fortunately for myself, not feeling bad about it, and the like team getting told doesn't feel bad, but like somehow, some way, I mean, I'm sure people started looking my YouTube. I don't know how exactly. I've never felt so popular in my life, but throughout the league or something, somebody somewhere has came across the clip of me talking about the LSD experience back in Venice Beach in 2018, whenever it was, 2019, and how it changed my life. And I don't think they actually listened to the video, but that just like, I guess, stirred the pot a bit, just because of the title being something involving drugs. But it just was funny to me because the overall message of that video is that I learned that I loved myself, and that's why it was so beneficial after struggling. I don't know if I'd say struggling, but dealing with some form of depression. No, I don't even want to say it like that. I don't ever want to say I think people run into some problems. This is just my own opinion here, as always, where they take ownership of anxiety and of depression. I have anxiety. I have depression. And that's like this, it's a really good strategy by the pharmaceutical companies and stuff to essentially prescribe someone with this thing. And I'm sure there's science behind it, but I try not to even ever take ownership of those things. It's just that I experience those things. You know, you can experience anxiety. You can feel anxious at times. You know, you can experience depression. You can feel depressed at times. But then once you take it and own it, then it almost like becomes part of your identity. And so I catch myself as I say all that, is because learning that I loved myself at that time, I had been experiencing in the past, and at times I had felt depressed. And throughout my life, throughout different little things, and a lot of them revolving around football, to be honest. You know, I moved around the country, went to a bunch of different schools. I had gotten in trouble but once in high school, and you know, it's all my fault. But because of getting in trouble at times, it led to not playing, and then not playing led to feeling lesser, you know, because that was a big part of my identity. It's what I wanted to do. But yeah, it was funny to me that a video with essentially the overall message of I learned I love myself was more of a big deal than a video clip of me calling people fucking idiots. You know, albeit that I learned I loved myself under the influence of a drug, which I think in 10 years, 20 years in the future, they're already starting to do studies with it now. I think in the future they're going to start realizing it has a major impact in helping out with depression and anxiety and those kind of things. I mean, psilocybin from mushrooms is already being studied. I mean, my guy Theo Vaughn, I don't know him, but I feel like I do from his podcasts. He's going through ketamine treatments in order to try and get off antidepressants. You know, there's a lot of I don't know the way to say it. There's a lot of things that have been looked negatively at by the governments that ultimately have had some benefits. And on the flip side, there's a lot of things that have been legal that end up killing people, you know. And so the idea of legality at times is just an interesting concept, you know, not from like a murder, rape standpoint, like that stuff, yeah, should be illegal. But in terms of like self-ingesting and altering the mood of a self, as long as it doesn't harm anyone, you know, I'm big on do you. As long as you're not infringing on my rights and infringing on my beliefs, do whatever the hell you want, you know. As far as all the transgender stuff, I'm cool with it. Just don't say that I have to be a certain way. I mean, shoot. Speaking of I was just on TikTok before here, and one of the lives that just showed up as I was scrolling through was of this transgender girl post transition. And she's one of the hottest girls I've seen on the app in a while. And she seems super cool and super nice. You know, it's like, I got no problem admitting that. I have no problem with I'd had no problem with her. But I think in the future, I don't know exactly what the hell I'm saying right now. I mean, I do, but I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't have any of this written down in kind of the structured notes. I don't structure it too much, but yeah, I just think in the future we're going to look back at some, I mean, not forever, but for a long time, weed was super illegal. You know what I mean? And then it became medicinal, and and it still is. I view it still can be used as a medicine. And now it's just legal in the US in most places. And in another 5 years or 10 years, it'll be legal everywhere in the US. And once that happens, I have a feeling most of the countries will then copy the US, because money, taxes, when you can tax something like that and you can make some money, politicians can normally change their tune pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Let's see. What else? I mean, speaking of like pharmaceuticals and stuff, and I know I've been saying the next episode's going to be a conspiracy episode. I don't know. It's going to just have to come naturally, I think. I still haven't done enough research on it to like really get into one. You know, I know enough about MK Ultra and Operation Northwoods and some other stuff, although I don't know enough to do like an episode on. But this isn't even conspiratorial, although it would get labeled as such by some people. But my boy Will sent me a podcast with what's his name? I have his guest all written out here, but I forget what the actual guy's podcast name is. Hold on. The Mark Groves podcast. And it's with Dr. Zach Bush. The episode's called Engineering Our Future. If you're going to listen to one recommendation that I ever say on anything, listen to that podcast. It's probably the most interesting hour and a half, I think maybe hour 40 minutes that I've heard maybe ever. This dude, Dr. Zach Bush, he's an MD, multiple disciplinary physician of internal medicine, endocrinology, hospice care, and an internationally recognized educator on the microbiome as it relates to human health, soil health, food systems, and regenerative future. I had to read all that. I wasn't going to remember that. But he talks about, it's primarily about the vid and the response to it and how it could have been better and some of the issues that led and some examples and statistics and some data that like isn't mainstream for a specific reason, but then also just some, I hate saying the word science now because everyone throws around the science behind it. And science is becoming this weird thing where if you question the science presented by the news, then you're a conspiracy theorist or hate speech or, it's like, I don't even, it's now made this thing of saying, and some data, I mean, I'll say data, but some science behind even just the effects of putting an incredible amount of stress on people by just constantly in your face putting the numbers. And so anyway, he talks about that, talks about the subsequent, the shot coming out of it, and some details that again just aren't mainstream, but are definitely true and viable and I think thought worthy. And then some of the most interesting thing about it to me was he moves forward and talks about just the history of human beings and going back a little bit, talking about from dinosaurs then to us, and then also explaining that at some point, there's been like 4 or 5 great extinctions throughout the history of the world. And so at some point we'll go extinct, or a majority of us will go extinct. And, this is probably way, 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 way in the future. But then something I'd never thought of, and he talks about it in just such a better way than I could ever think of, that the things that come after us, the species that come after us after this next extinction, because there will be, as long as we don't just completely blow the world up and it turns into the Matrix for real, which could happen. Who knows? He's like, just think about the next things that come after, we have dolphins and humans and all these things that are pretty damn intelligent and what'll happen after that, and just talks about some super interesting stuff regarding health and vaccinations from a completely different lens, using it with food and like being able to the dude is smart and in a with the soil health, with the microbiome stuff, it knows some stuff I'd never even thought about. Like I said, I'll link it in the bottom of my stuff. I would highly recommend it. I'm super grateful for my guy Will to even share that with me. I guess he watched my last episode and kind of me talking about my feelings towards the shot. If you want to do you, go do you. I personally, I'm good on it. I don't think of anybody any less if they get it. I just, in the same way that I hope nobody thinks of me any less because I don't want to, And so, damn, I did the two things I'm trying to stop. And so, and still working on it. But yeah, check it out. It's, like I said, probably the best thing I've listened to and just made me go like, whoa, a couple times it's always good to go whoa a couple times. You know what I'm saying? And on that same note, my buddy Will, who I've been on his podcast, the Flow Station podcast, he took a little break from doing his, and now he's back and doing a little bit different concept than he had in the past, where he was doing guest interviews for the normal kind of hour-ish time. And now he's trying to be much more brief and concise with his podcast and make like episodes that are only like 15, 20 minutes, a little more long form, yet still short form, if that makes sense. And I've been digging it. It's a little different than what I'm kind of used to for a pod, but that little short 15-minute burst of some thoughtfulness, talking about emotions and some just real shit happening in people's lives and what they've experienced, is pretty cool. And then giving his interpretations and thoughts behind it. So check him out too. I'll link you there too. Appreciate you, Will. He's also been a little bit of a inspiration or motivation or whatever. Don't mean to diminish you by saying whatever. Throughout the podcast game for myself, especially we both kind of started at the same time, and get a nice message from him every now and then, which again, like I said, I try not to put too much care behind, but at the same time, human nature, it makes me feel good. We all want to feel liked, you know what I'm saying? But speaking of like inspirations too, I just realized, in terms of the podcast inspirations, the main ones that I like and watch and respect, I guess I could say, is Tim Dillon and Theo Vaughn. And I realized, while they're great, they're comics and they're great, I realized I was like, damn, they're both, sober now. They're both quote unquote former addicts. They, in their own ways, have some like problems with relationships, I guess I could say. I think they're good dudes, but also, in that Hollywood sphere for a bit. And I think no matter what, when you're into that, it can mess with you a bit. Although they've now both left. Tim's gone to Texas. Theo's gone to Tennessee. But anyway, I just thought it was like, dude, maybe those aren't the best guys to emulate for yourself. Because then it like made me even think like, maybe do I need to like go down and become an alcoholic? And then in order, is like that the way to success? And I was like, yeah, I don't know if that's the right way of thinking, buddy. And I was like, no, I think just they can be good little people to consume And obviously they do some stuff and say some stuff that's great. But in my mind, I don't know if I can emulate anybody because there's not a ton of dudes or gals doing what I'm doing. And I'm not trying to say that in like, haha, look at me, I'm super special. But in a way, I guess I am. I mean, I guess in a way, we're all super special. Kind of hippie of me right there, huh? Yeah, I didn't have that in the notes, but that was kind of fun. That's fun. What else we got going on? In some sports news I want to get into, it's just interesting to me, is Tebow signed with the Jags at tight end. And there's a little bit of hoopla going on in the sports media world. Again, I don't consume too much. I just see a little bit here and there. And just for the people that are trying to compare Tebow signing as a tight end for, I'm assuming, league minimum, and compare it with Kaepernick not signing and not being able to get a job, you are fucking stupid. And that's literally comparing apples to oranges. If Tebow got signed as a quarterback, yeah, you would have total ample right to complain. And I'd be right there with you. You know, and this is coming from, I think Kaepernick is good enough and deserves to be in the NFL. I mean, at this point now, being so far removed from it, who knows? But like at the time, he definitely did. And it was obvious he got blackballed from the league. Yet, at the same time, it's not like his last year he was putting up league-leading statistics, you know? And so I think when he was talking about signing with teams too, he was saying, you know, he had to start and he wanted 20 mil a year or something. I think that's what he told at least like an XFL team or one of the secondary league teams. And it's like, dude, that's wishful thinking. But based on past performance of your last year or so, you're not going to get that. And to ask for that is a little outrageous and kind of made not letting you back in kind of easy. You know, this is how I view it. And like I said, I think he totally deserved to be a backup. Like he's better, for sure better than there's 32 teams. So there's at least 64 quarterbacks in the league, probably upwards 75, 80. Not every team carries 3, but let's just call 70, 80. He's probably a better chance to win a game with at quarterback than at least half of those, you know, at least. But at backup quarterback, you don't want to have a guy being a distraction, and the amount of distraction that, right or wrong, I don't think it's partly his fault, but at the same time with the kneeling stuff, if the media just wouldn't have put it on every single day and talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, then it wouldn't have been such an issue. It's like the media made it into just as big as an issue as he did, probably even twice as big. But for a backup quarterback, that's not what you want. And you also can't afford to pay a backup quarterback $20 million a year. And so, for given all those things, that's in addition to in the beginning just being blackballed, that's why he ain't getting a chance. And so people saying, oh, Tebow can get a chance again, but Kaepernick can't. Boy, you are a surface level thinker. That's all I know. And that's okay. You can still be an intelligent person and only think on the surface level. I'm not saying you're dumb by any stretch of the imagination, but there's I guess I've been playing a lot of chess lately, and in a chess analogy, is you're only thinking about the move you're about to make. You're not thinking about like 3 moves ahead. And you can still win some chess games doing that, but you're not going to be the best. I don't know if that was a good analogy or not, actually. Oh, well. Yeah, but Tebow, shit, he could turn into being like the new Taysom Hill. I could see that. You know, he signed with Urban Meyer. He basically at Florida, granted, that team in Florida, Urban Meyer recruited Percy Harvin, Aaron Hernandez, Tim Tebow, Major Wright. I mean, that team was crazy. He's earned, you know, Urban owes him a little bit from those years. So, and I'm sure Tebow's a great teammate. I'm sure it's awesome to have him in the building. That's a guy I actually would really enjoy meeting. Although we probably don't share too many similar beliefs on, well, I mean, I guess I know just religion for one. That's all I could really say. Although I'm not like completely against what he believes either. I think I can believe what I've realized I am in a way kind of omnist. Yeah, omnist is where you kind of believe in a little bit of everything. You know, I don't necessarily subscribe to a book, but I think there's a lot of articles in a lot of books that make some sense. Maybe not Scientology. That one seems a little fishy to me. I actually did a report in college on Scientology. That was something. But yeah, I hope Tebow does good. Could be cool. Could be a good story. All right, sorry to interrupt. This is actually really fun to do. I've never had to do an ad read. Hopefully this will get annoying for me to do at some point, but right now it's kind of fun. And I wrote this ad read myself, by the way. But this episode is brought to you by Messy Weekend Sunglasses. You know, just in time for summer, baby. Get some new shades. Messy Weekend's a Danish sunglass brand that's just basically with the shit. Simple and stylish. Some models are considered sin-onable, which is always good for my clumsy ass. And for every pair of Messy Weekend eyewear sold, they donate to clean the equivalent of 100 plastic straws from our oceans, which I don't know if that is a lot or not, but it sounds pretty fucking cool. So if you want to help maybe support your boy and then also make yourself look pretty cool, you can use the code Joey15 at checkout. And, you know, one hand washes the other, baby. You help me, I help you. I help you, you help me. And let's get back to the episode. What else we got? Oh, I got this little section here labeled Deep Thoughts. And ironically, this all stems from a TikTok video that I saw from this guy that's a counselor or something, or a psychologist. I'm not exact. I think counselor, yeah, therapist. And that's another weird thing too. Sorry to get off on a tangent before I get into this. Is I've seen some people online, whether it be therapists or life coaches or whatever, that in short, and I'm probably going to be a hater for saying this, the way that they act online don't deserve to be therapists or life coaches, and why anybody would take their advice based on some of the stuff that they say is baffling to me. You know, I saw something for like a relationship therapist, this girl on TikTok, and talking about some of her dating experiences and red flags and this and that. And I was just like, and to think you're doing this in the hopes that someone's going to pay you money to give them advice, and to think that it's probably working is even more baffling. But yeah. But anyway, this guy on TikTok who seemed pretty cool from some of the answers he gives, but you don't ever really know. He said a few interesting things that I've been thinking about that I've kind of hold going into the rest of my life, and they are that people tend to reveal their character through the patterns and their behaviors, and then on top of that, they reveal their secrets through their anomalies and their deviations from those patterns and behaviors. And it's so simple and obvious in a way, but I started to reflect on my own self first and foremost, and then kind of reflect on some people that I know a little bit closer at times. And I was like, that is interesting. That is super interesting and true for sure. And then the other one was, the worst crime you can commit against somebody is causing them to distrust their own inner voice. And that one was deep for me. And it's, in a way, it's talking about honesty. But in a way, it's actually more about authenticity than honesty. Because in a way, if you're known to be a liar and someone has that in their inner voice that he's a liar or what, something, that a lie doesn't necessarily fuck with them that much, because their inner voice is kind of already told them to be cautious. In some ways, it'd be telling the super truth in a situation where they don't think you're going to. That could fuck, it's like a weird mind game. I don't know. I think in most cases it would relate to honesty, but in some, it's not necessarily there's exceptions to every rule. And then in one of my other, I guess this was a couple weeks ago, I was watching the podcast. I talked about Mike Posner and how he's kind of an interesting dude. And actually that's what kind of got me into thinking about the role model kind of thing in the podcast world with Tim Dillon and Theo Vaughn being like, are these guys the guys I want to be like? And I was like, no, not really. Because I forget exactly what Posner said, but I was just like, damn, this dude seems pretty chill, pretty cool. But him and, I forget the dude's name, something Yeti. I forget, I'm sorry. But they said that we tend to think about ourselves through the lens of how we think other people think about us. And so basically, we think we are how we think others think we are. That's like a riddle in itself. But it explains in a way why people can be super materialistic and, worry about brands and cars and all these things, because they're putting on this show and this exterior because they think that if other people think that they're ballin' and that they've made it, then they themselves will think that. And they talk about it, kind of being a recipe for disaster, the way they talk about it. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I guess that's kind of true. And so I don't really have too much to elaborate off of that. That's just kind of me passing along some thoughts and ideas that I've came up with over the last couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to believe I don't really fall victim into that idea. I'm sure I do at times. But at the same time, the way my life has gone with transferring a bunch, coming to play in Europe, doing that kind of stuff, I've really had to say fuck what other people think from the beginning. Because if I really, truly, truly cared about what others thought from the beginning, I would have never gone to JUCO. Would have never transferred away from North Dakota. I'd have never gone to Lisbon. I would have never played football in Europe to begin with. Because, some of my close friends think it's pretty cool, I would say. To a degree, there's like a little caveat. There's probably an asterisk next to it being pretty cool. There's plenty, I think. Maybe I'm just overthinking. I know we probably think that others think about us way more than they ever fucking do. Nobody really gives a fuck what we do. They might for the split second that they see it on social media, or you walk past somebody on the street. They might think about you for 2 seconds and then you're gone. And so I'll continue to say that I'm sure there's some people that are like, what the fuck is he doing? But I like I said, I never gave a fuck. Because those people have no clue about what the real story is. And so I said it on Will's podcast a couple years ago that, sometimes, depending on what time of year you catch me, I could be playing football professionally in Barcelona or in Europe, not having to work, or at another time of the year I could be living at home delivering some pizza. And so for 6 months out of the year, you might think I have the coolest life in the world. And for the other couple months out of the year, you might think I'm the biggest fucking loser there is. And neither's right and neither's wrong. Or both are right and both are wrong. I'm not sure. But yeah, I guess it was interesting to hear Mike Posner and the other dudes say that about we think we are what we think others think. And it's just a total mindfuck because we're thinking what others are thinking and we don't even know. And that's why just being straight the fuck up with people and addressing things and saying how you feel is so crucial. Because then once there becomes these thoughts and these doubts over, oh, he thinks this, or he's mad at me, or then it just festers and boils, and then a problem that isn't a problem becomes a huge problem in our minds. And so in a way, I guess what I'm talking about is a bit of a theme of the old living for a living kind of brand. Is just, I'm living for me. I'm living to live. And not being too concerned with how others perceive it. Because in the grand scheme, they really don't fucking care. And I don't mean that in a negative or woe is me victim-y way at all. Just how it is. And that's cool. That's okay. That's okay. So now what else? We got a little bit of time left over. It's been kind of weird. My jaw has kind of been hurting, but not hurting. It feels like I've always had an overbite. This is so random. I hope you find this interesting. I've always had an overbite. And right now, the way that kind of my jaw is positioned, it's sore. It's kind of sore in this weird way. It won't let me almost close my mouth in the way that I've normally closed it. And I feel like this started because I sneezed weird, which sounds even crazier. But it's almost like my overbite is going away. And my bottom row of teeth have always been super fucked up. I was supposed to get braces at some point, and now at this point, I have spaces in my teeth from getting cavities removed and teeth rotting. But my teeth almost feel like they're starting to straighten out. So I'm just going to keep thinking some good thoughts. And maybe I'm getting sexier. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, these are two interesting ones. The world right now, I mean, and by the world, I don't mean the world, but I mean specifically the U.S., is just going a little crazy. And I think we all know that. But my two examples for this, I got to pull up a Twitter article. My two examples for this is, first and foremost, in Seattle. Shout out to my guy Jason for sending me this article. For sure, people are just going insane. And legislature and people in charge, makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And so this article says that, this is from mynorthwest.com, says Seattle King County public health officials are giving needles to homeless addicts at a K-8 school. Seattle and King County has been distributing needles to homeless addicts at the growing encampment attached to Broadview Thompson K-8 in North Seattle. They're doing it on and next to the school property. Listen, the homeless thing is a complex issue. No doubt about it. But to just let an open encampment go on at a elementary and middle school, and on top of that, just giving out needles, which they say there used to be kind of a used needle for a new needle for needle buyback kind of thing. They're not doing that. And so, I don't know. Just to think that this is obviously had been talked about, and I don't know if voted on is the thing, but discussed, and that's the ultimate decision, is a little crazy to me. And it's why, whenever I talk about Seattle and stuff, people are like, oh, Seattle's so cool. I met someone this last weekend. They're like, oh, Seattle's the best. And all the books I read, everything's happening in Seattle. I was like, yeah, I sound old now. I'm like, Seattle used to be really cool. I was like, it's changed a lot now, though. When I was growing up, back in my day, when I would go into Seattle, very rarely would you ever meet someone that wasn't from Seattle. And I'm also kind of echoing some things I've heard from people older than me. Now, whenever I was back home and I'd go out to the bars and stuff, it's hard to meet someone from Seattle in Seattle. And that, there's positives and negatives to that, but it loses that little sense of character and that sense of pride. In a way, I feel like a lot of the people that live in Seattle that aren't from Seattle have this arrogance about them, which arrogance and pride are both very similar. But they have this arrogance because Seattle's kind of the cool place to live now, or one of them. And they're like, yeah, I live in Seattle. I'm fucking cool. I make a lot of money. And fuck you. But when you get a lot of that energy together, that's not very fun. Mixed with some passive-aggressive people, and then insanity, far left stupidity. That's an interesting combination. That is a very interesting combination. But then also I can't believe I'm giving New York Post a piece of this podcast, but this headline is just too good not to read. And it says that a new ant species is given the first ever gender neutral name to honor diversity. Says that a newly discovered ant is now the first animal species to be given a scientific name ending in they to honor gender diversity. And dude, I am all for diversity, but when science is going to start doing things to honor gender diversity, as I said before, I hate even saying, well, it's science, because this is fucking becoming what science is. And science used to always be this thing that science was built on doubt and built on challenging it. And now, if you challenge science, the mainstream science, it's either hate speech or it's conspiratorial. And so, in my opinion, then that isn't science. I mean, and with the way big tech is going, we might have to get to that. I know I always tease the conspiracy at the last half hour or the last little bit, but with the way big tech's going, and there's been countless physicians, doctors, scientists, whatever, that have gone against the mainstream narrative regarding what has gone on in the last year. It's hard to find those videos. It's hard to find those articles online anymore. And that's scary, and that's an issue. And most people don't care. I get it. There's a lot more stuff to watch on Netflix than ever before that they need to get to. But that's why I say it's just weird for me sometimes to even quote science, because then I feel like I'm going into that little category of phoniness in a way. And I'm not saying it's all the mainstream narrative is phony at all. I'm sure there is data behind it, but it's cherry picked. It's not the full story. One of the things that the guy says in that podcast, I know I'm going back a little bit, but he said, the media would just ignore all the positive stats. And it said in the beginning, it was almost like in northern Italy, when that was the epicenter of what was happening. All of the deaths, or 99%, 95%, an incredible high percentage of the deaths were of people over 80 with other comorbidities. It was like, no one under a specific age had died, but they weren't ever saying that. It was just all the amount of deaths. And so that's what I mean when I say cherry pick, to just be super brief. I like to give a little bit of examples of what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that's a good way to close it out. Right at that hour mark. Yeah, we'll call it a day. Thanks again to everybody who's supported along the way. If you want to do me a favor and just tell a friend, share it, whatever. Grow it one person at a time. I think that's the coolest way to do it. And we'll see where it takes us. As I said, I think we're on the way. I'm on the way. We're on the way. If you're tuning in, watching every week, you're just as much as this part of this as I am. So I appreciate you. I love you. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Holla.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?